Well, I don't want his answers. That's probably a good point.
His temperament is not as good as yours.
I'm gonna let you deal with him. How about that? I'm gonna let you do that.
Take care of me now.
Sure. Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Considering offensively who you've missed this season at various times, your thoughts on how successful your offense has been through 5 weeks?
I like the balance. I like the ability to, when you're struggling to run the ball a little bit like we were yesterday, it doesn't take much. It takes an explosive run, great run, well blocked, but Javante's run at the end of the first half was just incredible. I really, Calvin, I like how the ball's being spread around. I really do. I like the balls going to different people. I thought Flo played great yesterday. Fergie's had a couple really good weeks for a guy that went through a dry spell for a while. It's been good to get him in the end zone a few times. But at the end of the day, I'm pleased with the way we're playing up front. And I think that's what we talk about all the time is owning the line of scrimmage. And it's not always going to be perfect when you play in this league because of the elite defenders that you have on the defensive line. But I think it all starts up front there. And then, of course, Dak's playing really, really well right now.
You haven't called plays in a while. Are you even surprising yourself at times about, man, this is working out the way I thought it was?
No, you never do that, man. Why would you ever do that? And then next week I come in, you can be like, man, you suck. And I'll be like, yeah, my kids were laughing the other day. They're like, Dad, how'd you do? And I was like, 6'7", whatever that thing means. And they're like, you know about that? I'm like, yeah, I'm 51. I'm not 90, But no, man, listen, you know me. I just I call to try to get guys involved, but the players are the ones that make the magic happen. And the staff's done a great job of getting our guys prepared to go with whatever we dial.
2 things. You talk about
Who are you?
No, thank you. Yes, sir. Excuse me.
He's an arm of the PR staff. He's official
Tad,
arm.
are you on this? Tad, are you on this?
He's official arm of the PR staff now. Anyway, Clarence Deal, that's Cowboys. Clayton Adams, and what he's done. If you just talk about the importance of he and Connor with the offensive line to get these guys ready to play. Last night you readily said you've never seen having to start 4 backups up front, and I know we've been around here where one backup up front, they couldn't get anything done.
Yeah.
And you guys are able to perform so well with 4 backups up front.
Well, first of all, I think even before I go into that, Clayton, number one's a excellent football coach. He has a tough job. When you're the coordinator for a guy that's the head coach and the play caller, I've lived it with Mike. It can be hard, right? Because there's things that you think and you believe, and you're kind of like, no, and sometimes we say that, you're like, no, we're not doing that. But so easy to work with. And then again, he's just, God, he loves it, man. He loves coaching O-line. He's in there every chance he gets. But again, really the day-to-day stuff, it's the fundamentals, man. It's what they do in the classroom, not just teaching scheme, but the fundamentals. Offensive line is that unique position, Clarence, because there's so many guys that have to work together. And, we didn't run the ball great yesterday. We had 9 runs, I think, that went for 2 yards or less. But why was that? Well, our fundamentals were off a little bit. But as the game went on, they got better. And so when I sit in their meetings, I listen to them talk about hand placement and footwork and, strain and eyes under the chin and things like that. That's the stuff that as a head coach you get really excited about, because I'm a believer of fundamentals. And that goes back to my days of coaching quarterbacks and training quarterbacks, is if you don't talk about fundamentals, I don't know how you're going to get the most out of your players. And they've done that.
When you identified, and your guys identified Javonte Williams, the guy you wanted to go after, what were you looking for? Because his physical style, did he remind Clayton of kind of James Carter and how he did things in Arizona? What was it about Javonte that stood out for you guys?
Yeah, I think it was, number one, the physical play style certainly jumps off the film. The quickness and the one-cut ability to make people miss. If there's one knock on Javonte, you'd say that, hey, he doesn't maybe have the long speed. But, again, it was really cool for him to have his longest run of his career yesterday. It was a hell of a run. Defensive end closed, and he was unblocked. And he has the strength to pull through that, and then the pad level. But, no, we never really compared him to anybody. He's his own player. But I will say, and I think I've said this before, I am not surprised by how well he's playing. We saw it in training camp. And really, you go back, you look at the Denver film, there was a lot of those same type plays that, were on the film. Just, when you're sometimes coming back from an injury, it takes you a little bit longer, especially at that position.
Brian Todd Archer with ESPN. Back on Clayton for a second. What is that dynamic like during the week? Is he the run game guy, or how do you guys come up with the plan during the week?
We do pods. So there's basically a run pod and a pass pod, and it differs and changes, but there's basically a couple different meetings going on, and we get together. We have what's called checkpoint meetings, where we come together about 4 or 5 times before we sit down on Tuesday afternoon and kind of finalize the first and second down game plan. And Clayton really drives the run pod. I drive kind of the pass pod, and then he and I usually get together on Monday night, for a few minutes and kind of talk about some stuff, getting ready for Tuesday. And then Tuesday we come in early and we go back to our pods and we get the ideas from the other guys. And then he and I kind of get together for about an hour and make sure there's some marriage and stuff, and then we bring the first and second down run game plan to the staff, and they shoot holes in it, and they challenge us on things, which is great. You know me, I love hard conversations, and then we tweak it a little bit more, and then we finish the pass game, and then that's kind of how it comes together. So it's a lot of guys sharing information, but we don't sit in a room like this and like we used to in the old days. Used to drive me crazy, where you sit in a room and there's all 12 of your offensive coaches watching every first and second down run, or I just think that's time not well spent.
And then you mentioned Ferguson a little bit there. How quarterback friendly, or how important is a tight end to a quarterback?
I think because of the areas of the field that they work, they're extremely important. I think, you've seen Jake. Jake's a guy that we love, his ability to run after catch. I thought the screen was probably one of the best executed plays we had yesterday, the tight end screen. The timing of it between Dak and Fergie were great. We had Flournoy did a great job blocking the corner. You had Terrence Steele shooting. Nate Thomas was coming from the backside. But there's a trust that's developed, but you can't just say the tight end position. I think it's who that guy is, what their relationship is with the quarterback, how much trust is there. It was fun for me getting on the plane. Yesterday we were watching the film, and Dak and I were giving Fergie a hard time because the first third down of the game down there in the red zone where we barely missed him, we just were challenging his speed. And he said, I was just peeking. I was looking quick. I was trying to. And but he's a joy to coach, man. Dak loves him, trusts him. But really, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how well Scooney and Brevin are playing as well. That room in general is a good, very, very talented room that we have a lot of confidence in.
And the ball hits the sky, Cam. Have you ever seen something like that before? Did you know? I think they were supposed to get the play back.
They should have done that. They should have replayed the down. Yeah. The bigger question was Kenny going to catch it? Now, he said he was. He said he was. And defensive me, he said he was. So then Flus had a great comeback question, which I thought was great. Okay, are you going to make Justin Fields miss? And he was less committal on that. So. But yes, they should have replayed the down.
Have you seen that before?
I've seen the scoreboard get hit with a punt, but I've never seen that, no.
Chapman showed it with The Athletic. It was a little surprising in preseason that you guys didn't play Javonte at all. Was this the plan all along? Did you think that, hey, we don't need to see anything from him, that you kind of had this vision of what you're seeing right now from him?
Yeah, I think, John, it goes back to the importance of practice, how we just really, I talked about it a ton in training camp. You get such great work against our defense, and we saw what we're seeing now without the tackling part of it. We saw that every day in practice against our defense, and the decisiveness, the quickness, the ability to make people miss, the ability to run through people. I can't remember who. It was one of our, it might have been Elijah Clark, caught him one day a little high, Javonte. And so 2 or 3 plays later, Javonte was going through the hole, and he should have kept going straight, but Elijah was over to the left, and he just went on a beeline to go make contact. But you don't have to play when you're a veteran. You don't necessarily have to play in the preseason to get yourself ready to play a 17, maybe soon to be 18 game season.
And then with his run, Javonte's run, on that 3rd and 1 early in the second quarter. That
That well-blocked play, that excellent play that it was exactly the way we drew it up, where you don't block the defensive end, and then the guy crosses Fergie's face, there's no one there. Yeah, that one? Yeah, I remember that one, yeah. It's a great call. I say all the time, right? That was one of my best calls of the day.
But for him to, it looked like he probably should have lost 2 or 3 yards, but he ends up spinning out of that, getting 2 yards, and then the very next play you guys score. There was a lot of big plays obviously in the game for you guys, but how important do you think a play like that was?
It was huge. We were probably going to go for it. That's what we had kind of talked about. That's why we went with that play. But it just, again, goes to show you, I always say the ultimate team game, and I really believe that. But that was just an incredible, incredible effort by a fiery, doesn't say much, ultra competitive baller. And, it's one of the best 1.5 runs I've ever seen.
Tommy Arch, DallasCowboys.com. Do you have a sense if you'll get some of the guys that are banged up, like CD or any of the Tylers, back for Sunday?
Yeah, it's still early. I think, we'll find out a little bit more next couple of days. I think we're trending in the right direction on a few guys. I'm seeing progress on all the guys, but whether they're able to make it for this weekend, we'll see. But I do think that we're closing in on some good markers for these guys in the next couple weeks.
And then when you have these guys that are coming back or starting to come back, how do you balance, getting them back into the fold, but also rewarding the guys that are playing well in their place, like a Nate Thomas or a Ryan Flournoy?
Yeah, I think it's a fine line. There's positives when young guys have to play. They learn, they realize they belong. So proud and so happy of Flo. Just the confidence he played with yesterday was so cool for me to see. He doesn't say much, he just works. And I thought that was great. But, all 68 or whatever snaps was for Nate Thomas were invaluable. Going against a great pass rusher like Will McDonald was a great challenge for him. And, I think that's positive. But at the end of the day, when guys come back off injuries, it doesn't mean we're not going to need them at some point. It means that they should be more confident when they do get the call.
Joe.
Joe White, Dallas Morning News. One more Javonte question. You've said you're the president of the fan club. You guys signed him the first day of free agency. It was your first signing. Obviously, there was something you guys saw that made you want to go after him. What was that? What specifically was it? Did you see that? I guess a lot of people, other people might not have seen.
Well, again, I guess I probably repeat myself a little bit, but it was the physical play style. This is a guy that, as a pass protector, he's elite. Playing away from the football, he's elite. He's violent with his chips and so smart and so intelligent. Who was it that said Javonte had a V for valedictorian? That was bad information. He said it had nothing to do with that. Somebody asked me that question. They thought Javonte, the V, meant valedictorian. He was his valedictorian in class, but I asked him that. Somebody told me that. I don't know who it was. But yeah, just the way he played the game in Denver, man. And I get it, the injury sucked, and, it took him a little while to get back, but and then you're around him, and you just see that he is all about football, man. So when you talk about a guy that, compete every day to be the best version of yourself, man, he gives us everything he has on Monday today, and on Wednesday he will, and on Friday he will, Saturday at the walkthrough he will. And how can you not want to have a guy like that on your roster?
He's on pace for a career high in terms of rushing attempts right now. How much do you kind of, at this point in the season, kind of have to look at that? And obviously he's earned the bell cow kind of spread right now, but do you have to kind of monitor that a little bit, and how does that kind of management go?
No, we're mindful of it. I think, it's a situation where you never want to, put that thing into the atmosphere of what could happen, but it is a violent position, and he's playing great. But I think you see us, when you get a guy like Jaden Blue, some exposure. He played well yesterday. His numbers won't say that. We blocked one play like shit on the perimeter. It was probably a bad call on my part, but he didn't really have a chance on that. But you look at the explosiveness on the kick return he almost took, and so that's where sometimes, when we get the bird's eye view, we see it live, then you watch the video of it and you see the stats and you're kind of like, oh, Jaden didn't play very well, but that's not the case at all. He actually did some really good things, and but Javonte, he's the bell cow, and he's earned that. We believe in him, and that's the way we'll approach moving forward.
Garrett Podell, CBS Sports. Brian, I think at the end of the game, you guys paid homage to Tom Landry with the victory formation. How much, if anything, do you pull from that era of football when you put together your game plans every week?
Well, I see the pictures every day walking out of my office of literally. There's a cool picture outside my office of Tom Landry on a chalkboard with Roger Staubach, and they're running some gap scheme, some trap or something. That's something that's been around here, Garrett, for a while. And when I took over, is certainly something we're going to keep because of the tradition, and I'm kind of a dork when it comes to tradition and things like that. But I will share with you guys this. So on every Saturday practice, we end with that. So the defense comes off, and we end with that. And because of the moving parts, we've actually had to reload those. So you normally don't want to have to reload the Landry shift. But when you've got 4 new pieces and one guy doesn't do it quite right or right on timing, and I'll embarrass Brock. Brock screwed up the first time he was in there, and we were like, all right, reload it for Brock. He doesn't know. Yeah, man, I mean, we're the Dallas Cowboys, and I remember those days, and I remember watching pro football and seeing them do it, so it's pretty cool.
Babe.
Babe Lofberg, 105.3.
Babe, did you ever do it? Were you ever in the huddle when they did that, or no? No? Okay. You did play, though, of course. I mean, yeah.
Jimmy didn't pay.
Yeah,
Jimmy didn't pay homage to
Hey, Brad, you hush back there, Brad. Hush.
I can keep going.
Yeah.
Two-part question here. One for you, one's about a particular play. And Tad shunned me last week, and so I get 2 today. But I know you're going to say it's players, but I had a veteran coach one time. Guys were out and all that, and offensive coordinator, and I said, basically, gosh, how are you going to handle that? And he said, well, that's why they put coach in front of your name. It's up to me to figure it out. So that win yesterday with all those people out, is it even more satisfying for you and this coaching staff when, you got to get all these guys up to speed in a very short period of time?
Yeah, I'm going to give the staff a ton of credit for that. I mean, they're elite coaches. It was a great plan. I was really just proud of the way we fought. But, we have confidence in all of our guys. And it goes back to what we talked about a little bit in the spring about, we were very active in free agency, trying to get, depth. And, injuries are nothing new around here. I mean, it's part of the game. And, again, I said last night, and I still can't think of one where I've ever gone in with 4, different starting offensive linemen. But, yeah. But, again, I think, at the end of the day, the players are the ones that make it come to life. And we have to come up with plans that we think feature what they do well, along with attacking your opponent. But at the end of the day, the players are the magic.
And then the play, it's got to be a backstory because you hit the screen to Fergie, and I saw Dak doing this. Clearly somebody had wanted to put it in. Maybe somebody didn't like it. Well, yeah, you got something.
No, I think, that was one of the plays that we liked early in the week, and he and I talked about, and but it's more the emotion of the game, man. And I probably haven't called enough screens, to be honest with you. And but when they come off, screens are, the best way to call screens is to look at them as runs. That's what I've learned in my career. Is when you call a screen, you need to look at it like effective run is 4 yards or more. Well, it's hard to get that, but a screen has a chance for more of an explosive play. So, there's a great example. When you look at screens like their runs, if you make 4 or more, you're ecstatic. But when they go for 27 or 28 or whatever it was, I thought that was Staubach again coming back. No? Yeah. No, I think, that's just the emotion of Dak being such a fiery competitor.
Nicole.
Nicole Hutchinson, DallasCowboys.com. Tyler Smith told me that Javonte is one of the hardest runners he's ever seen. Where would you rank him amongst running backs that you've coached and seen?
Wow. Great question. His run style's different. So, I hate comparing players. I was around Michael Turner in San Diego. He ran with that physical style. Thomas Jones was another very physical runner. Sean Green. But yeah, Javante's ability to get his pads down and to strike with power and leg drive, and I mean, it's unique. But like if you watch him and what he does pre-practice, getting ready for practice, post-practice, working on his leg strength and things like that, it's no surprise that that he has bounced back the way that he has, and that he has been as effective as he's been.
Newey.
Newey Scruggs, NBC5. Brian, can you take me in your mind just when you call that play for Javante, the big run there? What were you seeing beforehand? How you set it up, and then just to get that play done and to make that right call?
Yeah. Well, we got the touchdown. We had the 2 timeouts left. They come out, they threw an incompletion on first down, so then we knew we were in good position. The defense stepped up. They did really good. I think they got sacked on second down. And so we basically want to see where we got the ball, Dewey. Like if we got the ball where we did, we knew we were going to try to go, but we were going to be smart with the first call to see what would happen. And we thought we'd get a favorable box. It was a 6-man box. Safety was dropping down. But it's a little bit like you kind of stick your toe in the water, like, hey, let's see if this goes. And it was not called to go for 60-something yards. It was not called that way. And then when Javante started to break, it was like, okay, good. This is awesome. Okay, he might not score. Please get out of bounds. Please get out of bounds. And he did. Shows the IQ, the football IQ of Javante. And at that point, we were obviously very comfortable because we knew we were going to get a couple shots at the end zone. But if that run goes for a yard or two, I'd be lying if I said we were going to go 2-minute. But if it would have gone for 10, 12, 15, we would have gone.
Skyler Dixon with DAP. You guys have talked some about 3 defensive systems in 3 years for the guys who have been around that long. How much do you think the trending in the right direction is that the adjustment versus the changes you all have made in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think the changes are important because I think when you make changes, you give the players confidence. I think that the fact that we're making these guys all compete every day to earn their spot, keep their spot, whatever it is. You're all right. It's kind of cool, very soothing. Man, it's still going. Skyler's still going. Hey, Skyler, just you and I, babe. Hey, just you and I were just having a conversation right here. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Man, it's so distracting. Yeah, it was. Now I got to go back to where I was going, like see if I can make up this story again. No, but I think it starts with the changes, right? We were going to make changes. I thought the coverage was way better. The pass rush was excellent. I think that goes back to what we want to do. And we see we carry a lot of defensive linemen because it's important to us and goes back to the whole win the line of scrimmage thing. But, I think because of the pressure we were able to get, it certainly helps the pass coverage. Now, let's be honest. We didn't play the run very well yesterday. And we gave up, I think, 6 explosives, and a lot of that was some of the alignments. The linebackers got to adjust and move and change, and Shamar James is going to be an incredible player in this league. I really do believe that. And K9 got forced into a spot he hadn't been playing when you lose Sanborn. But I'm proud of those guys because of the adjustments that they were able to make and to go out there. And literally, we held them to 6 points in the first three quarters, and obviously, we played a little bit conservative late and tried to keep the ball in front of us and slow the game down.
Todd.
With Bryce Young, I don't know how much you've studied him yet, but yesterday they're down 17-0. Former top pick, probably catching a lot of heat. When they come back and win a game like that, is that something for a team that's looking for some kind of spark that can give them some juice, you think? And your thoughts on Bryce Young? Yeah,
again, I didn't do Bryce coming out. I'm very close with their quarterback coach, Will Harriger, who is here on our staff, and I think he's an incredible coach and has a very, very bright future in this league. And I think it goes back to your point. If you do that, you draw from that. You gain confidence. He's got some very, very good weapons. He's got Leggett, he's got Renfro. Sounds like Tet McMillan's playing great, and then of course I think the main thing they want to do is run the football, whether it's Hubbard or Rico, and be good to see Rico this weekend. I know we're going to have to buckle up, he said. So we'll bring our seatbelts, Rico. We'll buckle up. I can't wait to see him, though. But, no, I think, Bryce is a young player, and he's playing a lot of football, and that helps him, gain confidence.
You had mentioned the hard conversations. Were you that way in New York and Seattle as a play caller?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've always been that way. It's kind of authentic. I think, when you grow up with a dad that always had hard conversations with you, I laugh because about 5 of them just popped into my brain that he and I used to have. I think in this business, you owe it to these young men, coaches as well. I have hard conversations with coaches and staff members all the time, but it goes back to the thing of being authentic and being who you are.
Joe.
James Houston, very efficient. Obviously, in this pass rushing right now, 27 snaps on defense yesterday. Is that kind of the number you want for him, or is there a chance maybe you want to see more snaps for him?
Yeah, I mean, number one, he's playing really well. I think he has 3.5 sacks maybe. It seems like he's always involved, and there is a fine line, just because he's not the biggest guy. He's playing better against the run now, but there's areas in the run game he can still improve, which is awesome and scary for the league. But I think we're very comfortable with what we're doing with him. But, again, 2 70-plus play games or 70-minute-plus games, and we're pretty deep, though, at that position. And he does look fresh when he's rushing that passer.
Good.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you.